Although the number of new COVID-19 cases appears to be leveling off in Texas, the number of deaths is climbing. Anieli Ruiz tells us more than 20% of the state's total deaths were reported in the last week.
Our state has reached a grim milestone. As of Sunday, Texas reported 153 more COVID-19 deaths. The state has a total of 5,038. Just last Monday, Texas reported 4,020 deaths. That's a 20% increase in just 1 week. Dr. Peter Hotez said the virus is killing more Hispanics. In Houston, 15 of 21 people that died this weekend were Hispanic.
It's happening among the essential workers in low-income neighborhoods, people working on construction sites and small businesses, dry cleaners, restaurants. I think they're getting hammered, and I'm very worried about it.
Dr. Hotez said there are some positive signs in the Houston area. He thinks the numbers have plateaued at a high level and warns it's not over yet.
Even though it's, quote, stabilized, it's, if it stabilizes when the thing is going 100 miles an hour, that's small comfort. It's not adequate.
Dr. Hotez said as long as the virus continues to spread at its current rate, it'll remain unsafe to have children and teachers in the classroom. Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Houston. And for more on testing sites and stimulus plans and more, head to khou.com or text FACTS to 713-526-1111.